Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mangg, and welcome. Welcome to Hanging with Mangg, episode 156, which means, if I can do my math correctly, is the 3-year anniversary of Hanging with Mangg. 3 years, 156 episodes, every Sunday. Good times. Not a whole lot to say about it. We just keep on trucking. If you've seen every single episode of Hanging with Mangg, you can find like a little star magnet and put it on your refrigerator so that you always remember. Yeah, I guess that's about it. So today we're playing a little Divinity Original Sin 2, which just came out a couple days ago, I think. I don't know. I lose track of time. I have 20 some hours, I think, in it so far. That math doesn't really sound right, but I'm worried that it probably is. So the first Divinity, I actually never beat. Surprisingly, I don't know why. I think it's a really good game. And there was a time where I binged it and I got pretty far in the game. I feel like I was getting close to the end. But I think there was a time when there was multiple... I think when I got into it, there was a time when there was multiple CRPGs that I was playing. Like Pillars of Eternity was out. Maybe I had just done Baldur's Gate 2, something like that. I don't know. I fell out of it, but this one so far, really, really good. I'm liking everything quite a bit. I'm taking my time. I'm trying to do every side quest I can. So if you are also playing the game and you are not as far as I am, there may be some spoilers, I guess, as far as content is concerned. Just do what you normally do and leave the tab open and do something else. Anyways, so... I work from home now between the Exploring series and online stuff for my parents' company, and between working from home and being somewhat of a not antisocial. I'm not antisocial, but I'm already kind of a homebody. I enjoy being at home, and so I guess I would say I spend an unfortunate amount of time at home nowadays. And I enjoy it. I don't say it's unfortunate because I don't enjoy it. I love it. But I'm worried how it kind of affects me as a human being within the wide world. Like, today I went to Qdoba because I didn't want to pay the exorbitant fees that Uber Eats charges. The rat's tail twists. And, I get there and I'm standing amongst all these strange people. And it's just like, it was like nerve-wracking. It was like, do I even know how to be a proper human being anymore? Like, what am I doing? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm worried, like, I forgot some fundamental thing of being in a social environment, which is kind of ridiculous because I go to Applebee's almost every week. We go to the movies all the time, but those are very, comfortable, familiar places. Qdoba I don't ever go to. And so, yeah, I don't know. And driving especially, like, I don't drive much. Again, between Applebee's, movies, occasionally some other stuff, but like I used to, of course, like drive every day like most people. And nowadays, I drive maybe like a half an hour a week. Sometimes more, sometimes less. And so that driving nowadays is like really nerve-wracking. Because you don't forget how to drive. It's, once you learn it, it's a fairly fundamental thing. But it's really nerve like that, you fall out of practice, and maybe I'll forget some like basic road rule or something, or I'm just like I'll assume, I'll drive like thinking that I'm at the same level of skill or whatever, or comfort that I used to be, but I'm not. And so I'll just, make some little fuck up, and then boom, I'm in an accident. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of driving in the first place, but it is what it is. I know very few people can relate to this. It's a specific problem. It sounds kind of sad when I kind of say all this. Not, and I'm fine with where my life is. It's all good. It's just kind of a weird situation. Anyways,
She grins at her own joke.
so this week, well, for one, on the Exploring Series side of things, the Dwemer video has been just off the chain.
The rat vacuums.
Right now, as of my speaking, I think the Dwemer video is around 84,000 views. Which, it came out Monday, so it came out 6 days ago. That's really good. That's really, really good. I did not expect that kind of attention, because the only thing that would really be comparable was maybe the Morgoth video. That one blew up quite a bit. I don't know if it's quite the same amount within like a week. I doubt it. This morning I woke up and I was getting like 6,000 views an hour on the channel, which is, I think, a record. I don't remember ever being that high. And obviously the grand majority of that was on the Dwemer video. So that's pretty exciting. I mean, you get obviously a massive amount of views, 80 some thousand already. But you got to think that, like, what percentage of those people are watching past the first 30 seconds? And then what percentage of those people are watching till the end of the video? And then what percentage of those people go on to watch other videos in the Elder Scrolls that I've put out? And what percentage of those people also then subscribe so they can watch future videos? And it comes down to a pretty small percentage, which is to be expected. But, like today so far, I've gained, let me see, quite a bit. I've gained almost 700 subscribers so far today, new subscribers, which is absolutely insane. I mean, we're going to break a record today just for new subscribers. That is absolutely going to be a record. To put things into perspective, last Sunday I gained 95 new subscribers. So that's a massive increase, which is awesome. So, okay, so far I've gained 700 subscribers today. And views for today so far would be, oh boy, quite a bit. 30 some thousand so far, I would say, on the channel. So 30 some thousand views, 700 subscribers. That's actually a really good conversion rate, all things considered. And I think the average viewer length for the Dwemer video is like 6 minutes or so, which is also really good considering the video is 8 minutes long. I believe. I don't have any info up right now. Somewhere around there. That means a good number of people are watching pretty much close to the end of the video, which is exactly what you want. Now, of course, ad revenue for all that is really good. Really, I mean, yeah. I mean, I won't mince words. It's really nice, really nice. And I mean, I knew Dwemer would be popular. But I was in a bit of a viewer slump for a little while. I put out, I work all week, and I put out a video on, like, the Dawn era, which is a really, like, that's not an easy video to put together, if I can say so. That is a harder video to put together than the Dwemer video, which, yeah, it's mysterious, and they're really interesting, but since there's not a tremendous amount of facts, it wasn't really that difficult of a video to put together, all things considered. Do rats eat potatoes? Oh, hell yeah, they do. He's a level 12 rat. That's insane. Here, have a dinner. Oh, 22 dinners. Okay. Dude, you can just dine all day if you want. I won't stop you. The Dawn video, quite a bit of work, quite complicated. I have to do quite a bit of research for something like that to make sure that it all is logical, it all makes sense, there's nothing really contradictory or anything like that. It's a tough one to put together, and I put out something like that, and, I have a reasonable degree of pride for it, and it gets less than 10,000 views. And then I put something out like the Dwemer video, which I thought was a fine video. Again, not that difficult to put together, but there it is. And it gets, astronomical views in comparison. And so it's just like, well, I have to, of course I'm happy getting all that, the views, the ad revenue, stuff like that for a really popular video, but it counterbalances when I put out, a video I worked hard on that doesn't really get much views at all. So it balances out, I guess. But anyway, since I was in a viewer slump, I figured that I'll boost it a little bit for this month by putting out a Middle-earth video, and so that's what I worked on this week. I worked on the Fall of Gondolin. I think this guy is just gonna keep eating all my food. He probably needs to eat something specific. He says he needs to slow down. I don't know if I have, like, a tranquilizer or anything. Probably one of these mushrooms does something. I guess I could just start eating mushrooms. Poison myself. Earth resistance. Fire resistance. So the Fall of Gondolin was something I was vaguely familiar with. I didn't know all the details of it, but I've mentioned it before in other videos. Pretty interesting story. It was really like the first thing that Tolkien wrote for the Legendarium, for all of that stuff. He was laid up in bed after the Battle of the Somme or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce British stuff. During World War I, he got trench fever, so he wasn't like shot or anything. And so he just laid there and he started writing, and he wrote The Fall of Gondolin. And it's pretty interesting, the original story, which is mostly what I used for the video. I'm going to get complaints because technically the Silmarillion has like kind of an alternate version a little bit. that focuses on Tuor, and it doesn't really go into the same level of detail as Tolkien's original version. And so it's hard to say what Tolkien really thought about the Fall of Gondolin, since he just kind of left it for the most part, and then his son worked on it. I don't know. Anyways, it is an interesting story, and I thought I put together a decent video about it. I kind of regret it now, because now I have, like, you know, hundreds and hundreds of people that have just subscribed to the channel looking for
There's more than water down here.
Elder Scrolls stuff. That they think this is an Elder Scrolls channel, and then suddenly there's a Middle Earth video. It's a bummer, but the video's made. I'm not gonna just hold off on it or anything like that. So I'm sure it'll do fine, and I'll probably have to explain to some people that, oh no, I'm not done with Elder Scrolls, blah blah blah. So anyways, yeah, the Fall of Gondolin is coming out tomorrow.
What's this? I found something.
And then we move into to October. There are 5 Mondays in October, which means I'm going to be putting out 5 videos. And originally, I planned on doing 3 kind of spooky, creepy, scary sort of videos type stuff. Halloween, October-related stuff. And 2 Elder Scrolls videos. Because I figured whatever, I really like talking about the October Halloween kind of material. But then this Dwemer video just really blew the hell up, and so I figure it's probably in my better interest to do 3 Elder Scrolls videos and 2 Halloween October stuff. That stuff will underperform no matter what. You know, it's not going to get the same level of viewership as anything else. But it's stuff that I really enjoy. October only comes around once a year. It's my favorite month. I love all this kind of stuff. So sometimes you just got to do what you like. On this channel, I've talked for almost 20 minutes. Jesus. How does that can't be accurate. I just started.
All over the floor.
On this channel, it was all Morrowind, pretty much. I apologize if you're not interested in the Morrowind playthrough or the Elder Scrolls playthroughs. There just really wasn't much that grabbed my attention elsewhere as far as game. I mean, there was this, of course. I'm all about this right now in my free time, but this is not something I would want to Let's Play. I did think about, I don't know, people can let me know what they think. Although I get like 1 comment every 2 weeks on this channel, but that's alright. I get my comment fill on the other channel. I thought about maybe doing a solo Baldur's Gate 2 playthrough. I know we've tried, I believe, multiple times to get a Baldur's Gate 2 co-op playthrough to happen with friends and Mert and whatever. Friends and Mert. And it's just always kind of fallen apart because really, Baldur's Gate 2 does not really work as a multiplayer game. It's a nice thought. This game, actually, Divinity Original Sin 2, is a much more appealing, interesting multiplayer because they have like a full like GM mode where one person controls like all the, you know, the environments and the enemies and the NPCs and stuff like that, and you can actually do like a full, like, pretty much like an RPG role-playing campaign through the game. There are some videos there. I'm sure there's a lot more videos of it out there now. I haven't really looked into it myself yet, but it intrigues me quite a bit compared to Baldur's Gate 2 multiplayer, which is just kind of like, we don't know what we're doing, but we're trying to make this work. This game seems really like geared for multiplayer. Like I like you can have like each character can be like having a different conversation at the same time, I believe, and characters can go into different locations on their own. Like you can even do it here. Like if I take the main character and go up this ladder, I can go back. See, look at that. And so these guys can do their own thing while he is having a conversation up here. And so you can do that in multiplayer, and that's really, really cool. I can't wait to try that out once I get some people together. Anyways, so, yeah, I thought Baldur's Gate 2 is my favorite game of all time. And, I mean, okay, it's hard to say if it's actually my favorite game of all time. Dark Souls really gives it a run for its money as far as, like, my feelings about a video game. And if I'm just going to sit around one day and if you just put a controller in my hands and there's Dark Souls, it's just like, I'm not going to have a bad time with it. You know, Dark Souls is pretty near and dear to my heart. But Baldur's Gate 2 is certainly up there as an incredible game. And so I've never really gotten to show off the game and just play through it. The cooperative stuff always falls apart. So I thought about maybe doing just a solo playthrough of it with just a single character playing through the game. Yeah, because I've beaten it twice now. Once as a thief and once with a sorcerer, I believe. And so I think I might have actually enjoyed the Thief more. The Thief playthrough, that was the first time I beat the game. Again, a single character, no companions or anything like that. And it was really interesting playing as a thief because that was cheesy that was maximum cheese. Because I believe I went with like the bounty hunter specialty, so you got like a crazy amount of traps, and you could do it. I think they fixed it, or a fan patch or something like. I believe they fixed something like this. But you could set down all your traps, and then you could rest, and all your traps would still be there if they hadn't been triggered, but you replenished your trap count. So you could lay down an unlimited amount of traps, and so you'd go up to like the various dragons in the game who, you know, you could initiate the fight, and so you'd just surround their body with like 100 traps, and then you'd say, hey, let's fight, and then they would instantly drop dead as soon as they aggroed you because of all the traps. So that was one part cheese, but the other part was stealth was crazy powerful in that game, because basically as long as you were out of sight of any enemy, you immediately went into stealth. You could immediately go into stealth, and then even if you rushed around the corner, like a second after you went into stealth, you rushed around the corner and there was like a lich and there was like all these enemies, whatever, you were in stealth. You were basically, you didn't even exist anymore. You were in stealth, and the stealth like had like this ticker. And so like every 8 seconds or something like that, it would recheck to see if you were in a stealthy position, basically if you could see enemies. But for those 8 seconds, you were invisible. Like, there was some stuff that could see you, and that's where you had to get cheesy with traps. But for everything else, you know, you really could just be invisible, and you could basically kill off enemies one by one because the backstab multiplier was really high. And so you pretty much just basically one-shot every enemy one by one as you went in and out of stealth. The boots of haste were incredibly important to this strategy because you had to be faster than every enemy so you could run behind corners. And so that's basically how I played through the whole game, was just cheesing everything as a bounty hunter or thief. I had a lot of fun. And then the sorcerer was pretty good because you get a lot of cool spells, and I do like magic, and so you can rain down some serious death on people, and I did enjoy that playthrough. I actually don't know if I did that as a solo character. I must have. I can't imagine me playing with companions. I don't know if I've ever done that. Which is funny because like this game, of course, I'm all about companions, and you know, I talk to them, and they have dialogue, and they have special quests and stuff like that, and it's all good. But Baldur's Gate 2, for some reason, it's all solo. I don't know. It is what it is. I think it's because when I was younger, I had no interest in any of that shit, and I was like, I don't want to control multiple characters. That's complicated. I just want to play as one. That's all I want. But this game, I can't even imagine playing this game as just one character. They do have a feat that, or something like that, that you can pick up called Lone Wolf that boosts all your shit by a pretty healthy amount if you are by yourself or just have one companion. So maybe at some point I'll try that. But anyways, I'm just going off on tangents.
Bother, I got all the fixings here for every kind.
Anyways, what was I talking about? Oh, so board games. Board games are kind of a thing of the past. I guess. We haven't had a regular board game night. Boy. We haven't had like an actual regular board game night probably since I got back from Europe. I don't know if we've had one. So it's been a long time since just like the four of us sat down and had a board game night. Which I would be okay with if we were like, if I was like filling the gap with like role playing games and stuff like that, but that is not really the case either. So it's just been kind of nothing. Now we have made RPG night kind of a priority. So I'm yeah, we did do Sprawl this week, and I'm glad we still kind of, we do treat that as a priority. And our board games kind of fall on the back burner. Pretty much just, yeah, I've been playing Arkham Horror, the card game, and that's pretty much it. And, you know, as far as like one game to play every week, you could do worse than Arkham Horror, the card game. Hold on. So, yeah, not much to say about board games. I'm hoping at some point we'll get around to having another night so that we can do Wasteland Express. I'm still looking forward to trying that out. But I guess we'll move on to the Sprawl. So not a tremendous amount happened in this last session of the Sprawl. Because 3 hours goes by really fast. Or at least it seems to when you're playing, you know, a good RPG. It just seems like time flies. And you get bogged down with minutia and just little details and little activities that each person wants to do and things like that. And so you end up not doing a tremendous amount. We only did a single job. Well, no, we finished up the job from last week. And we did not start a second job, and I'll tell you why. But so to recap, last time we did our first big time job. You know, Ziggy gave us the option of a standard job, an ambitious job, or a big time job, and so we went with the big time. And the job was to basically rescue this alien that was held in captivity at sub-level 5 of this corporate facility. And so we kind of bungled up the legwork phase by by assaulting this by assaulting this data server and kind of destroying the building, and it didn't exactly go well. And so, because of that, as a result of that, we kind of spooked the corporation, and so they decided that they were going to transfer the. I should have whirlwind first. I'm not a good player. That's why I'm playing on standard. They decided to transfer the alien to another facility, or to another company that's based in Chicago. And so the alien was no longer being held in sublevel 5, but instead was going to be put onto an airplane and taken to Chicago. So we decided, or I guess, I mean, I don't. You know, it's something that I just kind of always struggle with, I guess I'd say. I always feel concerned about how much I'm sort of taking charge, and how much I'm sort of commandeering everybody else and saying, okay, this is what we're doing, don't argue, we're doing this, you shut up and just do it, because I said so. You know, I really don't want to be that type of person at all, and I'm worried that regardless of my intentions, that it can come off that way. You know, I try to include the others in decisions, and I try to take their input, and sometimes, you know, they, of course, they do come up with suggestions and good ideas, and I try to delegate to them. I try to give them some sort of, you know, I give them tasks, and I don't tell them how to do the tasks usually or anything like that. They just, you know, I say do this, and I leave them to it. It's just, it's just kind of in my personality, I guess, to take the leader role. And also part of it is that I really enjoy, I enjoy kind of, I guess, being the leader. Well, I didn't want to do that. I enjoy being the leader. I enjoy coming up with all the plans. I enjoy executing the plans. I enjoy delegating and doing all. I enjoy what I do. It's just always my concern that they're just like playing along just because they don't want to argue or anything like that. And, you know, they don't like the way that things are being done, but they're not going to argue about it. It's always a concern of mine. But anyways, so we decided, I guess, that we would capture the alien on the plane. Although, like, sometimes you'll be okay though, cat. Here, jump out of the way. Jump out of the way. Don't worry, you're just on a little bit of fire. It's not too bad. like sometimes, I guess I won't properly explain a plan to the others, and I think that they definitely don't care for. And the reason I don't usually fully explain my plans out loud is because anything that I say out loud, Ziggy will then incorporate. Okay? Like, breaking into a building, right? I might mention, like, a security lock or some sort of security feature, something that would possibly be implemented into the building. And I'd say, okay, well, we got to watch out for this because they might have this. And Ziggy won't say anything, but he might not have been thinking. He might not even been thinking about that at all. Like, that was not even in his mind. But then he's like, oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, they might have that. And then he might put that in, right? And this probably goes for just about any DM, because that's just the way it is. And so I really like to restrict how much I actually say out loud and how much Ziggy gets to incorporate into his plans. For pretty much that reason, because I know he does not think of anything, and it's like, you know, if all four of us sat down and designed like a corporate facility and all the security features in it, we would each, you know, each person would bring probably something new to the discussion that the others didn't think about. Like, oh yeah, that would be good. They would have that. Yeah. So when you're all discussing the corporate facilities, only one person is actually in charge of what that corporate facility holds, and that would be Ziggy. So he's just going to take any ideas he can because, hey, you know, it doesn't exist until we encounter it, until we observe it. And so he can feel free to implement whatever he wants until we actually come upon it. So, ow. So, I don't usually like to voice my plans out loud, but sometimes they get a little antsy. So, I oblige them. I will say stuff out loud. Because sometimes, I'll be honest, sometimes I will say stuff out loud knowing that Ziggy will probably incorporate it, and I'm okay with that. Because some things I would like to see incorporated, and I do think that they would have as part of corporate security. So sometimes I'll do it on purpose, but usually I like to keep things a little under wraps. Anyways. And sometimes, like this week, between last Monday and this Monday or whatever, or last Wednesday and this Monday, like I'll think of something new. I'll think of a new aspect of the plan that I didn't think about before. And so that I'll kind of spring on them and like, whoa, that wasn't part of the plan. I'm like, well, you know, it is now. Roll with it. I don't know. I guess I'm just going to go on hoping that they do enjoy the game. They enjoy role-playing at my table. And dealing with my idiosyncrasies and lust for power. So anyways, we ended off last week basically with this front gate guard that informed us that there was probably another pre-check crew coming later from the actual corporate facility, because he said that, oh, we're early, so that means that he is expecting an actual pre-check crew. So we figured, okay, we have to intercept this guy. We have to knock him out, kill him, whatever, and
None that last, at least.
we have to have one of us take his place, so that when the actual pre-check crew comes by, You know, instead of saying, "What? You guys were here? There was a pre-check crew an hour ago." We just say, "Oh, all right, go ahead," so that nothing is out of the ordinary.
Oh, sure. Just a nod. Didn't catch your name.
And so we decided the best course of action, really our only course of action, was to hack the camera that's in this little security booth, so that we kind of static it out for a little bit. We drag the guy out, we kill him, whatever. We put him in the van. We put on his clothes, and then Thomas's character pretends to be him in the security booth, so he can wait for the actual pre-check crew.
Boring. Loyal lad.
Meanwhile, then, Phil's character, John Wick, and I would go onto the actual plane, and we would hijack the plane. I thought it was...
I might be whistling Tweedledee.
I mean, funny is probably not the right word. I don't think it's too soon anymore, because it was 16 years ago. But Americans are pretty sensitive about it. But I thought it was, I guess, ironic that we were doing a role-playing session that involved hijacking a plane on September 11th. Pretty big coincidence, I guess, because we've never done a session that involved hijacking a plane. This was the first ever, and it happened to be on that day. So that was a pretty interesting coincidence. Anyways. So we go over there. I hacked the camera successfully. It was all good. We drag the guy out. I think he gets tased. Phil kind of messes it up, but he does tase the guy. And we put him in the van. Thomas puts on his clothes. He gets out of the van. He goes in the booth. I restore the camera back online. So they just assume it was like, assuming they weren't watching too closely. And there he is. He's standing at the security booth just like he should. So Phil and I, we go park the van in the parking lot. We walk over to the plane. We get on the plane. I put like a little camera up in the corner of the cargo area, and we look around for a place to hide.
I hate to cut this short, but I ought to mind lowering the bridge, though.
And I really didn't have like some things you just really can't plan for. Like I couldn't exactly plan for where we could hide on this plane because I didn't know the interior of the plane.
There you are, my good-looking lad.
So at first I tried looking for something that we could kind of take off the wall that would lead into the inner workings of the ship, or into the plane. I don't know where I saw that made me think of that. Probably from... Yeah, it must have been from some plane movie that involved sneaking out of the bathroom into another part of the plane. But no, that didn't apparently work. So instead, we went into the cargo area and they had these panels. And we unscrewed one of the panels on the floor of the cargo area, and there was a compartment underneath it that we could sit down in. And Phil was, of course, freaking out because how are we gonna screw back in the screws for the panel? They're gonna know it's loose. I'm like, calm down, man. So what I did was I used like a little magnet from underneath to manually sort of twist the screws. Obviously, with a magnet, you're not going to be able to tighten them all the way, but that let us tighten them enough that probably you wouldn't notice anything unless you're looking real close. And I picked that up from the first Artemis Fowl book, I believe, where he sort of futzes with a fairy communicator, I believe. And he uses a magnet because they don't use conventional screws. So I'm glad I got to throw another trick around. So anyways, so we're sitting down there in the compartment. The actual pre-check crew comes around. Thomas sends them on in without too much discussion. And they come on the plane. And the maintenance crew is talking about how there was another crew here an hour ago. And I'm like, it's really out of our hands at this point. Like, we can't do anything about that discussion. And this would later bite us in the ass, but it is what it is. And so they check over the whole plane while we're hiding, and they confirm that it's all okay. Nothing is wrong. And so they load the alien onto the plane and fire up the engines, and we take off. And so basically on the plane there was one scientist and 2 guards. One scientist, 2 guards, and the pilot. It was a real low-key mission. I honestly expected like a dozen guards. That's what I was going in expecting. So when I heard there was only 2, I'm like, holy shit, this is a free payday. This is crazy. 2 of them. So one of the guys goes up to the passenger area, and he just kind of lays around there. And the other guard is with the scientist in the cargo area. So we needed to deal with 1 guard and 1 scientist while we're under a panel under the floor. And so this is something I did plan ahead of time. Again, I planned it for like 12 guards. I did not plan it for 1. But that just makes it much more likely to succeed with no complications. So, I hack into the plane's computer systems. And
Not a melody exactly.
10 spans under human slop.
I hack into the speaker that's in the
Burned in lasting flame.
that's in the cargo area. There's a speaker. And so I hack into that. I put on my voice modulator to make me sound like an adult. And I basically say, excuse me, we seem to have some sort of pressure leak in the cargo area. If y'all could look around for maybe any sort of pinprick holes or feel the rush of air or anything. So the scientist, he doesn't get up because he doesn't give a shit. But the guard's like, what else am I going to do? So he starts looking around. I figured it was a believable enough story, especially, I mean, I don't know anything about avionics or airplanes or how they function, or I don't even know if it is really plausible, but I figured to someone that doesn't know anything, you know, if you're watching a movie or something, like, oh yeah, that could happen. There could be some little pressure leak, right? Maybe there could be. I honestly don't know, but I figured it sounded plausible. So the guard starts looking around. He starts poking his head around, and he gets over by the cargo door. And so, of course, by that point, I've hacked into the cargo door, and I slam it open. Now, Ziggy tells me that I can control how fast the door opens. I wasn't actually, I didn't actually think that was true, but I wasn't going to question it because it did kind of help me. Because if I can just slam the door, like it just drops like a lead weight, that helps me a lot to surprise the guy. I don't know. I've never seen a movie, I don't think, where the cargo door of a plane just drops. It just, like, I felt like there would be mechanical fail-safes that kind of prevent that from happening rather than just, it's all just computer controlled. But I didn't question it. I figured, all right, it's to my advantage. I won't say anything.
Keeping watch.
She ekes out a few more notes, then smiles at you.
So, of course,
It helps
the guy goes flying out, and the scientist stands up and he's like, and so we burst out of the panel, and it's very cinematic. Although me is just this kid with like my laptop, but you got him over there as John Wick, just like bursting out with like his taser gun or whatever. He's just like, and he tases him, and I'm like, all right, good, he tased him. And of course, he always goes one step further. He's really just a reckless, unstable character, because he just grabs the guy by like his shirt and he tosses him out the cargo door to his death. Just, oh, all right, see ya, and just dead. Like, I know we're playing as criminals, right? I get that. You can't play a cyberpunk game like this and not be a criminal in some form. It's just how the games are designed. But, like, you are in control of your actions. Like, you get to control how much of a criminal you are. We don't need to kill people. Now, yeah, I killed the guard with the cargo door. Just because that seemed like the safest option for our team. But this is an unconscious scientist that you just you murdered him. Like, this is not you murdered this man. It's ridiculous. We're gonna have to rein him in somehow.
He doesn't like it when
So then, you know, the other guard is coming back because he's got to check on what's going on. You know, like opening the cargo door in midair, like that's going to send some sort of warning to the pilot. So the other guard's coming back to check out the situation, and so you know you have John Wick here. He's a killer. He's got a full ambush. Like he has full preparation time to jump this guard. And so what he does is he lays down on like the stairs that lead up to the door. He lays there and he just like has his Glock ready, and he misses. So he gets a shotgun to like the face, which she just kind of brushes off because you know it's a game.
the servant.
We do kill the guy, but it was way messier than it needed to be. So we go up to the pilot, and I have no intention of harming the pilot or anything like that. Unless this guy is just like a real idiot, he's going to comply. He's going to take the plane where we want it to go, and that'll be the end of it, because he'll get out alive. He has my word. Like, I'm not lying to him. He, as far as I'm concerned, he will live if he does what I say. And so he does. The pilot reroutes the plane out into the desert outside of Phoenix. And
The dog growls and bares its teeth at you in a wide, unsettling grin. You swear you see a...
Come closer. I dare.
He sniffs.
I am deaf. There's no defying me. You would mock the beast.
The dog's growls intensify and transform into...
Not one step further. I know what... Ha! She calls herself master.
sorry.
The dog
I should really let me just finish the story, I guess.
Hypnotic trot. You
Oh shit. That's no good. It's a dog that can summon that? What the? Oh, that's a spoiler for you. Oh, and then he summons that thing in return. Oh, nice. Perfect. Okay, let me just finish the story. So anyways, while this is going on, while we're doing pretty well on the airplane, Thomas is down on in the security booth, right? And he's just passing the time. And suddenly, a security crew from Toxis Corp comes up to him, and they say that there's some irregularities with today's events or something like that, and we'll need to check over your camera footage. And you know, we heard that there was another pre-check crew that came earlier or something like that. And so Thomas says, yeah, you know, there was another pre-check crew. I thought it was normal, so I didn't say anything, because this is like a big deal. And so I waved them through, and they left, and blah blah blah. And he's like, you know, they were just in a van or something. They had Toxis Corp and on the side, and blah blah blah. Everything seemed to be in order. And so like, okay, you know, we're gonna have to look over your security footage so we can see when the van left, and maybe get its plates. And of course, there is no footage of that because that was our van and it never left. It's still in the parking lot. So they're not going to find anything on the security tapes, and it's just going to damn Thomas even more. So he tries to put up a bluff that's like, oh, you're going to need corporate approval. Where like, we can't view the footage here. You need corporate approval for that. Like, oh, we've already gotten corporate approval. So let us see the footage. So that was pretty much like he pretty much ran out of bluffs. He didn't have anything else to say, and I didn't know what else to say. So he texts me like SOS. Okay, and you know, I'm looking through his camera feed because he's got cyber eyes, so I can see what he sees, and I see him get tased pretty much, and so I'm like, all right, oh shit. So I activate the bear. I don't activate Revenant Protocol because Revenant Protocol is really like, it's really only for me. So the bear could not get to me. So I could like reprogram it on the fly probably to pick another target. But I decided in this instance I needed to be in more control. So I took manual control of the bear from inside the plane, which is really badass when you think about it. So the doors to the van open, the bear jumps out, rushes across the tarmac over to the security booth just as they're dragging Thomas out. So the one guy that's not carrying Thomas, he reaches for his gun right away. He gets blasted. He's obliterated. So I'm just staring down the other two that are holding Thomas, and the speaker activates, and I'm like, put the man on the ground. And so they comply, because, you know, what else are you going to fucking do? And so they put him down on the ground, and they're just, like, standing there shaking. I'm like, what do I do here? In that instance, I guess I didn't even think about it then, but now that I'm thinking about it now, I really should implement a non-lethal option. The bear is an oh shit moment. Like, if the bear is involved, everything else has gone to hell. This is the worst case scenario. So in that sense, it doesn't really need a non-lethal option. But in this case right here, where I have these two guys dead to rights, they don't need to die. They just need to be knocked out. A non-lethal option would have been better. But I didn't have it. All I have is the big minigun and, like, the bear itself. So I'm like, I can't let them just go. You know, it just doesn't work. So maybe I could have made it work, but it would have been riskier if I had tried to make it work non-lethally and just didn't kill him. So I'm like, fuck. So I just gunned him down. Me and Artemis probably both felt bad about this. So it's just shitty, but it had to be done. Compare this to John Wick over here, who's just tossing scientists out of a plane because he feels like it. It's just ridiculous. So anyways, I gun him down. I rescue Thomas. We get him back into the van. I remote control drive the van out of the airport, and I set the van to drive towards the desert where we're landing the plane. Meanwhile, I put up an offer online on the deep web or whatever to sell a plane for 150,000 new yen. This is an extremely low amount for a plane of this size and quality, but it is hot. It's very hot. Like, people are going to be looking for this plane, and I need to sell it now, immediately, like cred stick in hand. And so I got an offer from some guy that I've dealt with before, so he could be trusted. So I told him the coordinates, 150,000 new yen. So we land the plane. That guy gets there. The van gets there. Everyone's together. I sell the guy the airplane, 150,000 new yen. That's a nice little pay bonus. Can't complain about that. All told, the three of us each made 110,000 new yen off the job, which is really good. So the guy takes the plane. We leave the pilot and the guy from the security booth that we kidnapped. We leave them both in the desert, and we're like, you're gonna have to, make your own way home. And he's like, oh, well, I'm sure the corp is tracking the plane, and they saw where it went down, so they'll come and rescue us. So I'm like, all right, forget our faces. Otherwise, I'll send John Wick after you or something like that. Because, again, Artemis does not want to kill people. I'm trying to be as good of a criminal as I can be, which is difficult. Because it's very easy. It's very easy to just play a character with really no morals. In a fictional sense, when you're playing a role-playing game, where there's really less consequences if you kill a person compared to if you leave them alive, because leaving a person alive in a criminal sense usually leaves, a witness or something like that, whereas killing them is just, oh, that problem's done, you don't have to worry about it. So it's easier to just kill them. I feel like it's a better option to just take the high road and deal with the challenge of trying to be as good of a criminal as I can be. But anyways, so we load the alien up into the van. The alien's fine. He wasn't harmed at all. He's in good condition. Phil pulls his motorcycle out of the van because he's going to drive separately or whatever. And we head out. And then Phil slips like a note card to Ziggy because he's doing some secretive thing, which we all know what it is. He could have just said out. He's going back to kill the pilot and the other guy. Like, we're all pretty clear that you're just a monster at this point. But, alright, you know. It's better if Artemis doesn't know, so I don't have to roleplay kicking you out of the crew or something like that. I wouldn't do that, but come on, man. Anyways, so we get to the meeting spot to deliver the alien. We hand off the alien to this guy. He gives us the cred stick, 150,000 new yen, and then right after that, a Predator missile hits our van. Now, the only thing in the van at the time was the bear. None of us were in it, but a fucking Predator missile hit our van. Like, that's serious business. It's shocking that they missed. You know, you'd think they would have a little bit more action and just aligned it a little bit to the left and killed all three of us instantly. But Ziggy's not that cruel. So our van blows up. And so we're, of course, thinking it's like the end of the fucking world. Like, there's about to be like 8 more missiles hitting us. But it was just the one. But we did kind of panic. So the guy, he gets away with the alien. We get our money. And Phil is just like, fuck this, I'm out of here, I'm out of here, I'm out of here. Because he's just he's panicking, man. He's terrified. So he just like peels out on his motorcycle. He's gone. But I care too much about the bear. Because the bear is like my life insurance, okay? It is like the most expensive thing I need the bear more than my life. So Thomas sticks around with me, and we rescue the bear. We order like a big, like Uber, but for trucks or whatever. And so we get the bear over to to Thomas's character's auto parts store that he owns, and that's when we kind of have a discussion. Because we all just made a lot of money. 110,000 new yen each. That is a healthy amount of money. You can buy a good number of things. Like, you could... I mean, probably not retire on that kind of money. You could retire for a couple of years on that kind of money. You have a good, clean amount that you could just live with at that point. And, you know, do some other stuff on the side or open up a small business. You know, it's a good amount of money. Obviously, we want a lot more. So the question that I brought up to them was, okay, well, first of all, we need to lay low for at least like a couple weeks, maybe a month. Just lay low. But do we continue operating out of Phoenix? Or do we move to a new location, a new city? I noticed that the microphone is like peeking out, at least based on this. If anyone ever wants to tell me if the audio is way too loud. But anyways, I'm trying to wrap this up. Do we continue operating out of Phoenix, or do we move to a new city to get kind of a fresh start? Not a completely fresh start. We are sort of big-time criminals now, but somewhat of a fresh start. And so they kind of hemmed and hawed about it. They were kind of attached to Phoenix, whereas I like new locations. I like new stuff all the time, so I was fine with moving. Until I brought up Tokyo as a possible location, and Thomas really liked that. He liked the idea of moving to Tokyo and operating out of there. And for me, like, Tokyo, like, that is cyberpunk. Cyberpunk pretty much is Neo Tokyo. Because you have, like, you have Ghost in the Shell, you have Akira, you have these sort of legendary cyberpunk things that are based out of Japan and stuff like that. And so I even though we've never played there, I kind of associate cyberpunk with Japan. So I'd be very excited to play some cyberpunk in Neo Tokyo. Although Shadowrun is mostly associated with Seattle because it's that's where they kind of wrote it. But anyways, so yeah, we decided let's move to Tokyo. So we settled our affairs in Phoenix. We bought a small plane with the intention of selling it in Tokyo. We got visas, we got fake IDs, we got all that, everything we needed. I got a contact in Tokyo to help us relocate and all that. We fly over to Tokyo. I fix up the bear. The bear is fully repaired, and I added rocket launchers to its shoulders. So, like, kind of like Iron Man, like they pop out of his shoulder blades, and like five little rockets out of each one can shoot out. So he's fully set up. We get him on the plane. We fly over to Tokyo. We land at the official Tokyo airport, which probably has a different name that I don't know. We get through customs because with the help of this guy that we're paying off to help us relocate, and he puts us in a limo, and we got like champagne, and we get taken to this nice hotel, and it's just like, this is the life, man. We earned this. We stole an alien. And so we get put up in a hotel, and now we're in Tokyo. We've relocated. So that was the second half of the session, was us relocating to Tokyo. So now we have to sell off the plane, hopefully for the same amount we purchased it for. We have to buy a new van because we need a van. It's essential. And then we'll take our first job. I'm kind of wavering between ambitious and big time for our first job in Tokyo. I mean, big time is big money. I know that. And we were talking about like housing, and Ziggy, like, he's like, oh yeah, you can get like this real like high modern Japanese like villa out in the outskirts or whatever, in the rural area, but it's like high-end modern, it's like a castle almost. And I'm like, he's like, it's like 30-some thousand new yen a month. And I'm like, oh man, but that's so cool. So I might need big time money, but at the same time, it's our first job in a new area. We don't know anybody. We don't really know the security concerns or anything like that. Maybe we should do ambitious. I'll see what the others have to say. I'd be fine either way. But yeah, so next time, the campaign is called Heatwave Phoenix 2059, but we are no longer in Phoenix. So we'll probably stick with the title just because I like to keep it all together if somebody wants to watch it from start to end, even though nobody does that. But yeah, Tokyo, cool stuff. And I said Artemis spoke Japanese. We figure that he speaks English, Japanese, Mandarin, and he can read Latin. Because I figure that sounds about right. And the others worked with like some modern, futuristic, high-end language learning software. So they pretty much learn Japanese as well. Yeah, so that's exciting. Hopefully we pick that up again tomorrow. There are so many so many RPGs right now that I want to play. I want to get back to Dungeon World. I want to do Warhammer again. I want to do Call of Cthulhu. There's some other Blades in the Dark I want to do. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I want to play. But the Sprawl is also so damn good and entertaining. Every week it's just really fun. Conundrums, problems, first world problems. But anyways, I guess that about wraps it up for the 3-year anniversary special. So yeah, check out the Fall of Gondolin video tomorrow. Probably, I'm hoping it'll actually finish Morrowind this week. I'm gonna say that's my goal. I don't know if it's achievable, but we'll say that's my goal. I think Cuphead comes out real soon. It actually might be the end of the month. Let me check. I will be doing a Let's Play of Cuphead, I can assure you. September 29th it comes out, which is, I'll be at a friend's wedding that day, which is rare. I'm not often at a friend's wedding, but just so happens that's the day. So yeah, probably that week after the week after, we will start Cuphead. But until that point, yeah, I don't know if I want to start anything else. Maybe if something pops up, but otherwise, Morrowind into Oblivion, and Zelda's whenever I get to it. But alright, I guess that about wraps it up for today. So, my name is Mangg. This has been Hangin' with Mangg. I'll see you fine folks next week.